going on, Archons? Welcome to another episode of Crucible and Cognac, the evening edition of KeyForge with Conversation. Today, I happen to have with me the very esteemed JulieJuly, who you may know from various areas of the KeyForge community, and a recent participant in the KeyForge Premier League. Julie, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was super excited to have you on, and we had to reschedule because you literally had to play in the KeyForge Premier League when we somehow got our dates mixed up.
Yes.
So first, before we get any further, how about you just give us a little rundown on the deck you're going to be playing tonight?
So I am playing the Educated Lieutenant. It's one that I bought on decks of KeyForge. And I bought it because I really liked the fact that there was a ton of damage pips with a Key Frog. Not on the Key Frog, but there's enough of them throughout the deck that it could make it happen.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like it. Obviously, the quad Grovenal is pretty cool as well.
Yes.
And a Barrister Joya. You know what's weird is I feel like Barrister Joya feels more rare, even though it's an uncommon in Mass Mutations than it did in AOA. I don't know if you felt that way. Like, I think I've opened one deck that out of all my Sanctum.
It's interesting. I only started playing during Worlds Collide. I've only been playing since December.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I'm not overly familiar with AOA as I am with Worlds Collide or Mass Mutations.
Fair enough. Okay. So for me today, I'm rocking I don't know if this is my favorite deck or not yet, because I did open that Dark Ember Vault deck, which is my best rated deck, and it just rocks. But it's legitimately a mutant deck. Like, everything about it is, yes, this is for mutants. But this deck I really enjoy this deck because of the triple essence scale with a bunch of destroyed triggered creatures, which is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has the Z-Force agent, which is just like a cherry on top.
Yes.
Hide and Vellum's pretty cool as well in this with the essence scale. You can do some shenanigans. So let's get right on into it, and I'll ask you a few questions about your KeyForge life. Let's just say that your career in KeyForge, because it seems to be pretty esteemed thus far.
I mean, I guess you could say so. I just like to have fun. That's really all that it is.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, I join these
taking names and having fun.
Yeah, I join the tournaments just because I want experience and practice. I don't usually go in expecting to win at all. And sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Yeah,
that's a great attitude. So how did you get into KeyForge?
So I was at PAX Unplugged last year, and my husband and I checked the Coda starter box out of the library there and played it. And then we bought one, and I started playing at my local game store called Games and Stuff. It's in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And I basically kind of like joined the team that was already formed there. Mostly I was just coming every week and talking to everybody, so they added me to the group chat.
That's the KeyForge way.
Yeah, and here we are. That's basically awesome. How it happened.
That's really cool. So yeah, go ahead and hit start whenever you're ready.
All right.
When you first came into the game, did you find like any challenges being a new player at all, or were you pretty was it pretty welcoming and very straightforward for you, or were you kind of like, no, this was a bit of a struggle coming in kind of from the cold, so to speak?
I wouldn't necessarily say a struggle, but the Bay Witches, that's the team that I play for, they're very good. So even though I was only doing sealed, it took me maybe 3.5 months before I won my first game.
Really?
Yes. I mean, I won when I played with my husband casually, but when it came to store events, it took me a while before I started to win.
Oh, okay. Very interesting.
And it wasn't because I was poor at the game. It's just they're so good that it's hard to keep up.
No, yeah. Fair enough.
I would argue that I do now.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I mean, if you surround yourself with good competition, you're only going to increase yourself, increase your own skill in the game. So that's really cool. I really like that. It's very much the best way, I think, to go about playing any game is not to reduce your competition, but to elevate it, because then you're like a prime example. You're just eventually going to get to a point where you just start kicking ass and taking names.
Right.
So, what is your gaming background? Did you play anything before KeyForge, or was this kind of like your first sort of strategy card game experience?
This is definitely my first game of this sort. My husband introduced me to tabletop gaming when we were dating. So I'm big into that scene, which is kind of halted right now due to COVID, whereas I feel like KeyForge can kind of keep up with it because of the Crucible Online.
Yeah, that's true. And so, were you like a sort of like fly by night, so to speak? Like you just play any game that was there and had a big variety, or were you before playing games like you were committed to a couple games and playing them pretty aggressively?
I am very casual.
So this is like your first game where you like committed to a game and kind of
Yes.
really.
Yep.
Okay. How did you find that experience?
I mean, I really like it because KeyForge is a really good community. And I can now say that I have connections literally all over the world because of this,
Yeah, I'm with you on
which
that
is
one.
pretty cool. Not a lot of people can say that.
No, it's very true. Oh, that's super cool. I like that. And so do you have any AOA decks and stuff like that, or have you kind of just stuck with what has been available as you got into the game? Because I think you're the first person I've talked to that came in at the point that you did.
I do have some AOA decks. I have recently bought 2 boxes because my game store had them on sale for $30. So I bought 2 of them.
Yeah, how do you not?
Exactly. And I wound up getting 2 really good decks out of it.
Oh, that's cool.
So I've been trying to get some more. I should have some more coming my way soon. It's hard to find more competitive AOA decks online that aren't necessarily like outrageously priced.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's there's a big discrepancy between the decks and which ones are good and which ones you just don't really want. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm going to ask you about that. Like, I don't know if you want to say this, but how big is your collection? If you don't want to say, that's fine. I'm just curious, considering you got into the game in December.
It's currently at, I think, 120.
Okay, that's a very respectable number.
And that's from playing sealed every week, going to a few primes. I bought a few boxes when Mass Mutations came out, but before that, I had not even bought a display box. It was just from accumulating games from people gifting some to me that they weren't using when I first learned to play.
Okay.
Or just store events.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good way of going about it. And do you have like a really memorable play from KeyForge so far? One that you're just like you think about it, and if you had a highlight reel of your KeyForge career thus far, this would be something that you'd want to be played or showcased, I guess.
Oh boy.
Oh, I just realized I misplayed last turn. That's okay.
I know, I'm actually looking back through what you did because I feel like I'm going to miss something.
Yes, that's my strategy in this. I just ask you questions and distract you.
I know, that's a very big scout Pete you have there.
Yeah, he's beefy.
I can't think particularly of a single move per se, but I did feel really good when I did get first place in that KeyForge Premier League qualifier, especially because I went in as the 8th spot in the top 8, so I just had barely made it in, which that in alone felt like a huge accomplishment.
Yeah,
And then
like
to go all the way
let's
to the
talk
end
about
and
that.
win.
So did you end up winning your game on Wednesday?
I did, yes.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
I clicked the wrong house. Is that
That's
okay?
okay. Yeah, of course. You can manual for any reason. We're just having fun and chatting. We're really chatting. The playing KeyForge part is just a bonus,
Yes,
really.
I was going to say, when I was talking and I didn't even look where I clicked.
Yeah, and how's your experience been with the KeyForge Premier League so far?
It's been good. My first week, so we're on week 3 now. So I've only played 2 opponents. My first opponent, I lost, but I still won a match. So that does help my strength of schedule.
Okay.
And then this past week, I won 2-1.
Oh, nice. Well, that's very good.
It's a lot of brain work.
Yeah,
Because
it is.
you're not banning a deck. I feel like that would almost be less brain work.
Yeah.
But with the way that it's set up, you can choose any of your 3 decks, and your opponent can choose any of their 3 decks. So I've been essentially studying 3 decks every single week.
And how's that been working out for you?
It is challenging.
Yeah, it is definitely a challenge.
I'm not preparing as much as I would like to, but I am preparing enough that it obviously has made a bit of a difference.
Oh, that's good. All right, let's start doing some shenanigans here.
I see. Oh, no.
Yeah, this is where the deck starts doing some things. I don't even know how that just happened.
I'm not sure either.
Oh, I understand what happened. So
because he has the +3 power?
No, it's before fight took out your yeah, that was not a genius play on my part. That just worked out really well. It basically took out your guy. What's his name? It doesn't even show in the comments here, but it took out Boss Zarek before fight. Boss Zarek got taken out.
Yep, I see.
And then so when I fought Shadowsaurus, it went full in with the ward, and he didn't have elusive anymore. So that was kind of cool, actually. So I feel like that was a big brain play, but it really wasn't. All right, that's me. Check over to you. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. I don't want to check over to you just yet. Oh, that feels like a waste. Oh, I keep doing things. I keep forgetting that I'm holding the Stirring Grave in my hand and not doing things well as a result. Let's throw that in there. There we go.
All right.
I'll give you a moment to collect your thoughts before I ask you the next question.
All right.
Ooh, very nice. Oh, that's a Maverick Miasma Bomb. No, it's not. I'm the one who has a Maverick Miasma Bomb in a different deck. It's okay. I only have like one, and it's a Sanctum Maverick, and so it always throws me off when I see it in Shadows because I've only ever seen it in Sanctum. Have you like defined a playstyle at all as you've been going, like something you're drawn to? You know, like do you prefer rush decks, like combo decks, more like control-y decks, like anything like come to mind?
I really like decks that steal.
Okay. It's a little bit more
This
control-y.
one does a little bit, not a lot. But I love a good Shadows deck.
Yeah. And do you have like classic Coda Shadow decks or not really?
I don't think so.
Really?
I've played with them, but if I recall, I do not have any that would stand out to anybody.
Okay.
One day, we'll get there.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is going to be fun. Yeah, and like as you've been playing, do you find like you said you like a good shadows? Is that like the house you gravitate towards through all the sets?
It is, yes.
Because
And
I
I
find it
know that it's
interesting.
not as strong in some sets.
Yeah, like you
But
said,
I
you came
still
in
like
during
it when
Worlds
it does its
Collide.
thing.
Yeah, because I mean, in Worlds Collide, I think people will argue that was the worst shadows house in a set.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, that seems where you fell in love with shadows. Is that a true statement?
Yes.
Very interesting. And I definitely think shadows redeem themselves in mass mutation. Have you felt that as well? Like you're noticing
Oh,
they're
yeah.
stronger? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like them. Let's see. Well, let me think this through. There we go.
That's a beefy night.
It is.
That's really cool. I like that play you just did. Like, why didn't you capture my ember yet? Because you have like a million prompts you have to go through right now.
Your P is 7, correct?
Yes, that is correct. It has 3 power.
All right.
So I have a question. Have you gotten into like the customized tokens thing as you've been playing the game? Like you wanted to have your own tokens and customize them and whatnot?
So we've been talking about getting team tokens for the Bay Witches, which I think is still going to happen. It was delayed because right when we were going to order them, that's when COVID happened.
Right.
So we delayed it just because people were unsure what was going to be happening with their job situation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that'll happen down the line. But besides that, I don't have anything super creative. I use, which gets a lot of looks, an extra large playmat.
Nice.
I think it's from a brand called Gamer Mats. I bought it when I was at PAX. But it works really well for KeyForge because when I use a regular playmat, it always goes off the edge.
Okay, fair. So
So
it's
that's something I actually get asked about quite a bit.
okay. What is it, like a sort of like mouse pad mat, like those long ones, or is it a custom one you had done?
So the Gamer Mats, they sell them. It's just called an extra large playmat. So it looks exactly like a regular playmat. It just has maybe 4 more inches
Okay.
down the end.
No, you actually do need that. Yeah, that's a real thing. Like I have one of the original 2-player mats, like the red ones, which is like really big.
Mm-hmm.
And those are actually, they made those wider. So I think that's interesting that they didn't think of that, because KeyForge, you do get those wide battle lines quite often. Oh no, not Barrister Joya. Oof. How did you forge a key?
I was wondering that.
Is something wrong here? That's paying 5 ember. What's out that's making
Oh,
keys
I
cost
had
that?
some on Safe Place.
Oh, that's what it was. Dang it, I
I
should
was
have used
wondering
my
too, but
Brabble.
I was just rolling with it.
I was not paying attention. Oh, because I was like, oh, I should just reap with my Brabble, and then I was like, oh no, I'm like, I was gonna fight, and I was like, no, I can just reap with it because you'll still be off check. Nope, that was wrong. So you have a pretty good amount of decks for the amount of time you've been playing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer to like crack decks and have the thrill of the chase of this next deck could be the best deck I've ever opened, or do you like to be more practical and kind of suss out what you want from the secondary market?
I like a bit of both.
Mm.
I do like the joy of opening a new deck and possibly finding something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another side of me that sees things that I like.
Right.
So I have bought maybe, I want to say maybe a dozen of my decks were bought online.
Okay.
And I would say out of that dozen, half of those were like $3 60 SAS decks that I just bought because they looked fun to play with my husband.
Oh yeah, good call. Do you actually look to collect decks in that sort of fashion because of the the ability to, have these great decks that you can just play in a more fun way and not competitive? Do you look to collect that way, like you said, because you're playing with your husband?
Yes, I do a bit of both. And also because there's a lot of tournaments out there that do SAS caps. So I do like to have those on hand. It's always good to have an unsuspecting deck. And
Right.
also, my husband, he only plays with me. He does not play competitively. He'll go to like a prime with me and lose terribly just because he wants to have fun with me.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So, do you have like a favorite deck that you've come across that's you're like, I know this is a competitive, but every time I play it, I absolutely love it.
Ooh, I'm pretty sure I do.
Because I'm in this like this place where when I'm playing with like a non-competitive fashion, is I'm
Mm-hmm.
always looking for the deck matchups where like you discover you play these two decks and sometimes like one steamrolls the other, but then you play another one where it goes down and every single game the either person could have won depending if they happen to have that Ember control card in hand or not, and it's both players are at two keys, they're basically could have been in check, and it's like that every single game you play those two decks against one another. Do you ever look for matchups like that, and when you identify them, like you're like, what, let's keep playing these decks and like note this down because it's such a good matchup and it's always fun?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you always want to, at least for me, especially when I'm playing a deck, I want to find the deck that's going to beat it or give it its most competition, because otherwise, stomping is only fun to a certain extent. And if you're always stomping, you're not really learning your deck strengths and weaknesses that way.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah, that's actually a
I
good
have a
point.
big turn to think about.
Oh, that's scary. I'll give you some time.
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it.
All right, so one of your essence scales is going to go away.
Oh, shucks.
We'll do the one with the troll icon.
You know what's funny is I always, when I look for artifact control, I literally always forget that Reclaim by Nature is
Mm-hmm.
artifact control when it's the most common almost title for anything that destroys artifacts. Like even in Magic the Gathering, there was, I swear, a card called almost the exact same name that did the exact same thing, destroyed
Right.
artifacts or enchantments. And I always forget it. And then I'm always taken by surprise when someone does what you just did to me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. You got some key
I'm going
frog
to do
action coming.
something that might seem strange, but it'll make sense in due time.
I hope not. Oof. Was the thing that was strange that you put damage on the Kirby instead of your frog?
No.
Because that did seem strange.
Oops, I did it before I wanted to, but that's okay. That is what's strange.
Oh, that is strange. Now I'm intrigued.
Hmm. All right.
All right. So I want to hear more about your KeyForge Premier League, because I'm noticing we're seeing a lot more, like with the lack of organized play. We are definitely seeing a lot more non OP things happening,
Right.
which is really cool. Like, for example, we've seen just the Glorious U, the coat has always been happening, and now there's KeyForge Premier League, and it's more like the past Glorious U and KeyForge Premier League, which are adding a monetary prize to it. Um, how do you think about this? Like this increase in organized play because of a lack of it. What do you think of that?
I feel like
Well, I guess
they're
online organized play would be the right way to say
right.
it.
I feel like I play more now than when we had in-store play.
Okay.
And it's partially due to because of what you said, because this is the only way that people can play right now. So now there's all these tournaments that I would never have been able to go to otherwise.
Right.
And it's not just even on that level, it's also on the local level, where I'm a part of the KeyForge Baltimore group. I'm one of the admins for it. And we have 2 weekly games that we play. And I help host the monthly event that we do. So, like on Saturday, we are doing a sealed chain bidding event, which is always really fun.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
So I am definitely playing a lot more than I used to, which has been really fun. And I think that's why I've grown so much, especially with Coat. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I am. I play in coat.
I thought so, but I wasn't completely sure. So I've loved doing that because I've been able to practice pretty much every week. Like one of my decks that I used, I've now played maybe 40 sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Because every week we practice until we get the match exactly how we would want it.
So you do that. So when you're playing these tournaments, you know your decks and you go through the matchup, right? And you practice against it.
Mm-hmm.
I find that such an interesting thing because that's something that you can't really do if you're in like an IRL tournament, but it's become such a common practice now within the online world of KeyForge and these high level tournaments. Oh, there your dog goes. And
Let me put it here real quick.
okay.
Sorry, I should have thought of that earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. And I think it's a really interesting aspect that we're getting to explore in KeyForge because I don't think you would be able to do that. Oh, I've just lost.
Yes, I'm sorry. You'll see why.
And yeah, so what do you have? Savage Clash.
That's
That's why.
him
Oh, that was brilliantly played. Oh, that was so good. I love it. Yeah, that was wild. And so I'm just curious about your thoughts on, will there be a detriment to this happening when we finally get to play KeyForge IRL again? Because people are so used to practicing. But at the same time, I think it's a really cool thing that's unique to the online KeyForge world. But do you think there'll be a kind of repercussions as we get to the side of things when IRL is back in play?
I'm hoping that when we go back to play, that people have realized the value of being able to play with each other online and the value that practicing a lot and utilizing TCO brings to developing your game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I like that.
Because I love playing in real life, and I would 10 out of 10 would play in real life compared to online, but there is value in being able to pull up TCO no matter where you are. You don't have to meet in a location, and it plays a lot faster than it does in real life.
Yeah, for sure. It does, for sure. For me, KeyForge was always a disconnect from technology and social interaction. That's what really drew me to the game. Like that's why I'm not a big video gamer. I'm more of a I like playing card games because of like there's so much technology around you all the time that being able to go away from that and just have like a one-on-one with someone in a conversation and play a game and connect that way. I really enjoy that. But I see the value of playing TCO and the ability to practice and do different things. But for me, KeyForge will always be the in-person. Like I think I'm a way better in-person player than an online player, just because when you're holding the cards, I actually truly believe that some people who only play online play a lot worse when they go in person, because there's the like a psychological quality to holding the cards and that feeling and going through those motions that puts you in like a game mode, where if you're not doing that, when you suddenly step into that, it feels unfamiliar. So that's something that I've always felt.
Right. And I mean, I love playing in person, and I would prefer playing in person. I just kind of hope that when we go back that there's kind of like a mixture of the two. Whereas before, I never really played online at all with anybody. I would go and play random people here and there, but it's not until this that I actually really started to play online. So I really hope that there's like a mixture of the two when we start to go back to play in real life.
Yeah, I think there will be. Okay, final question. This is the one I always end things off with, is if you could have any character in KeyForge be your quote-unquote spirit animal, who would it be?
Oh.
And it can be a card character. It can be someone who's depicted on a card that's an action, anything.
I love Rad Penny. Like, I want to be her. Yeah. She looks so badass. And I don't even know if I can say this on here, but
of course you can.
She is amazing. It's my favorite card, and I want to be her.
Yeah, I love it too. Like I vowed I wasn't going to get any more playmats because you acquire so many just from entering tournaments, but I bought the Rad Penny playmat. I couldn't not do it.
Yes, I did Rad Penny and Away Team just because the artwork was so beautiful.
Yeah, the Away Team, that one was hard for me to pass up, but I already have a couple Star Lines mats, and I didn't have any Shadows mats. So it also, like, for me, because I do content, I like to have different backgrounds based on decks. Right. So I'm trying to get one from each house, and I didn't have a Shadows one, which also lead me towards that. So
have you observed the Away Team mat closely?
Yeah, it's honestly, if I bought it, I was going to frame it. I wasn't planning on actually using it. I was going to put it in a frame and on the wall because it's so beautiful. If you notice on there's a non-exploded key frog in the corner. Really?
Yes, I didn't realize that's what it was until I saw it in person, but there's the key frog as a regular frog before he's exploded.
Oh, that's really cool. I love it. Well, Julie, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope you had fun and this wasn't too daunting having to answer questions while playing KeyForge. You did very well. No question about it. And I did enjoy your KeyFrog play. And I guess you also have the ability to go Vault's Blessing into KeyFrog if you needed to as well, couldn't you? It's a cool thing with this deck. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. I like how you Savage Clashed and the game just ended. Like, the board is still perfectly preserved, but the game is just like, no, this is over. We don't need to do anything else. I love it. It's one of the ways you can keep him out there because he's big and beefy, so he's hard to get out. Just in case you did kill the Ghost Hawks. Yeah, it's really good. Like, this was cool. Your deck performed in an amazing way, and you didn't even have to use your Miasma Bomb. You were that much in control. Like, it's a cool deck. I really like the way it plays. Thanks. Me too. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the show. And where can people find you if they, for any reason, would like to reach out to you? I'm on the KeyForge Facebook group. I'm in the KeyForge group and the Baltimore KeyForge group. Fantastic. And that's under JulieJuly, usually? Always. Awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks so much for coming on. And for everyone out there, may your ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.